"We got another right here," he screams, another Trump supporter. Just in case there was any question about the nature of the execution you just saw, and we're sorry for airing that, but it happened, we felt you should know. But in case there was any question about what it was about, the main suspect in that murder literally has a BLM symbol tattooed on his neck. If you watch the Democratic National Convention, you may be familiar with BLM. BLM is the group Democrats promoted from the stage all week. They're the movement corporate America will fire you for daring to criticize. They're the reason you're not allowed to acknowledge that all lives matter. You get fired for that too. Many have been. This is the actual armed militia of the Democratic Party, and they are held to very different standards from the ones you live under. In fact, the suspect in this murder in Portland has been arrested twice just this summer for unlawfully carrying a loaded gun. He never went to jail. In one case, the one in Portland, the same people who tell you how much they abhor gun violence let this man go. Then he apparently murdered someone. Joe Biden did not mention this today. BLM was happy about the killing. BLM does not believe that all lives matter. They don't say they do, and they don't. They believe people who oppose them should be killed. Again, we're not making this up. Watch them celebrate the man's murder in Portland.
I just got word. The person who died was a Patriot person. Yeah. He was a Nazi. Our community held its own and took out the trash.
Our community held its own and took out the trash. These are Biden voters celebrating the murder of a man who they hate because he supports a different political candidate. Again, we're not making it up. You just saw the video. He was a Trump voter, therefore deserved to die. Run the cheer. Why didn't Joe Biden mention this in his speech today? Not a word about that killing. Nor did Biden say anything about the elderly Republicans who were attacked outside the White House last week after the RNC. We showed you that tape, too. He didn't mention the Trump supporters who were shot at in South Carolina recently. He didn't mention the shooting in Los Angeles yesterday that targeted Trump voters. He didn't mention the BLM rally from over the weekend in which the speaker makes clear that he considers murdering people the next frontier in civil rights. Here it is.
I'm at the point where I'm ready to put these police in the grave. I'm at the point where I want to burn the White House down. I want to take it to the senators. I want to take it to the Congress. I want to take the fight to them. And at the end of the day, if they ain't going to hear us, we burn them the down. The same way I bust police in the head in New York, I bust police in the head in D.C.
This is everywhere. That was just this weekend. It gets no coverage whatsoever. The media pretend it is not happening. But it is happening, and it's lunacy. And there's a massive cost for all of us to allowing it to go unchallenged. It is unchallenged. It's never challenged. BLM can say and do whatever it wants. Democrats will never criticize BLM because Democrats never criticize their own voters, period. That's their one hard and fast rule. One way, they're very different from the Republican Party. No matter how dangerous the words or the behavior become, Democrats won't say anything if it's coming from someone who might vote for them. So we shouldn't be surprised when their voters take the cue and become more radical and more violent. Last week in Georgia, a man was arrested for stabbing an AutoZone employee. He didn't know the guy. He told police he, quote, felt the need to find a white male to kill. Joe Biden didn't mention that today. Nor did he say anything about this. This happened yesterday in Baltimore. Watch.
Ew. You better not run. Oh! Dang!
That clip showed up on social media with the note, "White lives don't matter." Joe Biden didn't mention that. There's no sign he disagrees. The media will, of course, never cover this. Over at CNN, which is now devoted full time to covering for the rioters, one analyst tweeted that only, quote, desperate Republicans claim we have riots. Amazingly, because the person who tweeted it is not very smart, his tweet contained a photograph of a burning building. The building was burning in a riot. But whatever, ignore that. Riots aren't real. There's not much violence. You'd have to be a racist to think there was.
Let's be honest, and Don, you do make this point, and it's important over and over. There's very little rioting. Like that's actually, there's very little violence. It's you know, but it is magnified by Donald Trump, and it's magnified by Republicans, and it's to convince people that that people are coming for them, and that's just simply not what's happening.
Oh, it's not what's happening, and you're a bad person if you think it does. Now, to be fair, that clip, I think, was recorded 4 days ago, 3 or 4 days ago, before the official line changed, which is actually there are riots and they're Trump riots. Trump is responsible for all this. So we've gone 3 months browbeating anyone who acknowledges the obvious, what's on video, what's in your city, what you may be affected by personally, the reason you're moving to Texas, can't acknowledge it. Now we've turned and we're blaming it on Trump. Ignore the evidence. Ignore the evidence. Your eyes are lying to you. There's only one reason you may have concluded that this is happening and Democrats are behind it, because you've been misled. You've been lied to. You've been fed a diet of fake news by agents from a hostile foreign power that, among other things, secretly controls Facebook. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Russia faked the riots and blamed Joe Biden, just like the moon landing, but more diabolical. Watch Mr. Adam Schiff explain.
The Russians 4 years ago, Dana, exploited Black Lives Matter. They set up their own false flags online to try to divide people along racial lines.
Are they doing it
and we
now?
have to, they are, once again, doing their best in social media, in their overt media, and other means to grow these divisions again.
It's a false flag by Russia! Seriously? You'd like to think in the late summer of 2020, people would laugh at that. It is hilarious in a way. On the other hand, an awful lot of blue-check Democrats on Twitter believed it the first time, so who knows, they probably will again. But you got to give Adam Schiff some credit. At least he's consistent, though he's obviously completely insane, in desperate need of inpatient care. That man is hurting. But he's one man in a big party. What about everyone else running the Democratic Party? They're not insane. They're not crazy in the slightest. They're just liars. And they're more ruthless than you can even understand. They will burn down your cities and tell you that you did it. And if you don't accept that judgment, maybe they'll send BLM to your house. Acting Homeland Security Secretary Chad Wolf is here with reaction to the most dishonest speech ever given by a major presidential candidate, Joe Biden's address today from Pennsylvania. That's straight ahead.
As I stand in our nation's capital, this country's in trouble. The only hope for America is gone. On the 26th of September, I'm holding a prayer march right here on the Mall. And we're going to go from what's behind me, the Lincoln Memorial, all the way down to the Capitol. And I want you to join me right here on the 26th of September at noon on this Mall, praying for our nation.